Imagine waking up one morning and realizing the can of beans in your pantry might be worth more than the gold in your jewelry drawer. Sounds ridiculous? Maybe not for long. With prices creeping up on nearly everything and supply chains showing cracks from coast to coast, the smart ones aren't waiting for the next crisis to hit. They're already filling their shelves. Just look at what's happened over the last few months. Massive droughts in Europe have gutted olive oil production. The cost of sugar has quietly jumped nearly 30% since spring. And don't even get me started on the specialty items that vanish overnight when just one pipeline goes down. It's not just one-off incidents anymore. It's a pattern. And every time the news breaks, the shelves go bare in hours, not days. If 2020 taught us anything, it's that normal can disappear fast. Grocery stores aren't bottomless. They run on just-in-time delivery systems, which means the milk you drink, the bread you eat, and the canned goods you rely on are only ever about 3 days from being gone. That's why this isn't about doomsday bunkers or panic buying. It's about being smart, realistic. It's about asking yourself what you'd want on hand if trucks stopped running tomorrow, or if that next big storm knocked out power for a week. And more importantly, it's about doing something now, while you still have the chance to act without the stress of empty shelves and long lines. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through 10 specific grocery items that give you the biggest return for your money, your shelf space, and your peace of mind. These are products that store well, can be used in dozens of different meals, and are often the first to disappear when things go south. But I'm not just tossing out a list. I'll also show you how to stockpile them wisely, stretch their shelf life, and avoid the common mistakes that even seasoned preppers still make. Whether you're trying to build a short-term buffer or prepping for long-term disruption, this list is your starting point. Now's not the time to assume the store will always be open or that prices will settle back down. If the last year has shown us anything, it's that your best defense against uncertainty is a solid pantry and a clear plan. Let's start building yours today. Nobody gives beans a second thought until they're gone. And when store shelves get wiped out, guess what goes first? Protein. That's why number 10 is beans, both dry and canned. They're not flashy, but they're powerful. You're getting 15 grams of protein, serious fiber, and essential nutrients like magnesium and folate, all from one simple cup of cooked beans. They're also incredibly cheap. For the price of a fast food combo meal, you could buy 10 pounds of dry beans and get weeks of hearty meals out of them. Now, let's be clear. Don't just grab one type and call it a day. Stock a variety. Black beans for rice bowls, lentils for soups, kidney beans for chili, and chickpeas for stews, or even homemade hummus. Rotation is key. Keep your oldest stock in the front, new bags in the back. If you're storing dry beans long-term, use Mylar bags and oxygen absorbers. Then stash them in sealed buckets or bins. They'll stay good for 25 to 30 years. That's not a typo. And if you're low on energy or cooking options, canned beans are a lifesaver. Pop the lid, heat them up, or don't. They're edible straight from the can in a pinch. Number 9 is canned goods across the board. Vegetables, fruits, soups, and meats. I'm talking about your pantry workhorses. Canned corn, green beans, peas, carrots, tomatoes, even canned potatoes. These are ingredients you can turn into a meal when fresh produce is gone. Same goes for canned fruits like pineapple, peaches, or pears packed in juice. They're a fast hit of calories and vitamins, especially when fresh fruit isn't an option. But let's not forget canned meats. Tuna, chicken, salmon, even Spam. Yeah, I said it. Spam. You may laugh now, but in a blackout or supply chain disruption, it's a ready-to-eat source of protein with a long shelf life. Some preppers even seek out canned bacon or beef stew with pull tab lids for maximum convenience. Here's a trick. Buy cans with pull tabs whenever possible. You don't want to be fumbling for a can opener during an emergency. And here's a crucial point. Canned goods are only as good as your rotation system. Mark every can with the purchase date. Use the oldest first. And don't store them in a hot garage or uninsulated shed. Heat is the enemy. You want a cool, dry, and dark place if you want them to last. Stock at least 60 cans per person to build a dependable 30-day food buffer. More if you want wiggle room or you're feeding kids. At number 8, it's dry pasta, the ultimate survival comfort food. It's cheap, it's compact, and it can feed a crowd. And we're not just talking spaghetti. Get some macaroni, rotini, or egg noodles. Each shape works for different types of meals. Pasta cooks fast, requires minimal water, and doesn't need refrigeration. Even a small propane burner or campfire is enough to get the job done. Beyond being filling, pasta delivers long-burning energy from complex carbohydrates, which your body craves under stress. Plus, it's one of the easiest foods to build meals around. Throw in a can of tomato sauce, add some beans or canned chicken, and you've got a full meal in minutes. Want to go deluxe? Mix in some dried herbs, garlic powder, or even shelf-stable cheese powder, and it'll taste like something Grandma would have made. Storage-wise, pasta's a dream. Store it in its original box for short-term use, but if you're looking at long-haul prepping, transfer it to airtight containers or vacuum-sealed bags. Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers can extend pasta's shelf life to 20-30 years under the right conditions. And here's an often overlooked bonus. Pasta is a morale booster. In a stressful situation, familiar foods do more than fill your belly. They calm the mind. That warm bowl of noodles might be the one thing that makes your kids smile during a power outage, or makes dinner feel like dinner when everything else feels upside down. Beans, canned goods, and pasta aren't glamorous, but they're reliable. And in a real crisis, that's what matters most. You want food that lasts, fills you up, and doesn't make you miserable to eat. Stock these 3 now, and you'll already be ahead of 90% of households. You want to talk about food security? Then let's talk rice. Not trendy, not fancy, just essential. Coming in at number 7, rice is the quiet giant of any smart stockpile. It's affordable, compact, and can carry an entire meal on its back. And when everything else gets scarce, rice is the foundation that can stretch your food supply farther than just about anything else. But not all rice is created equal. Brown rice might sound healthier, but it has natural oils that make it go rancid within 6 to 12 months. White rice, on the other hand, can last 20 to 30 years when stored properly. That's why it's the preferred choice for long-term emergency prep. Now here's the kicker. Rice isn't just filler. It pairs with everything. Beans, canned meat, vegetables, even powdered eggs. Add a spoonful of shelf-stable soy sauce or some seasoning packets, and suddenly you've got a legit meal. And it's not just for dinner. Rice porridge, also called congee, makes for a warm, soothing breakfast when oats or cereal aren't an option. A survival nutritionist I spoke with said she keeps 4 types of rice in her pantry: long grain, jasmine basmati, and short grain sushi rice. Not because she's picky, but because each one cooks differently and adds variety during long stretches without store access. How much should you store? A family of 4 should have at least 25 pounds of rice for a 30-day emergency supply. That sounds like a lot, but it's not. A cup of dry rice makes about 3 cups cooked, and that vanishes fast when everyone's hungry. Store it in food-grade buckets with mylar liners and oxygen absorbers. Keep it off the floor and away from moisture. If you're short on space, try storing smaller vacuum-sealed bags in closets, under beds, or even inside empty suitcases. And now number 6, canned mushrooms. Sounds random, right? But don't underestimate these little guys. In an emergency, flavor becomes currency. When you're living off beans, rice, and canned meat, you'll want something that punches up your meals. Mushrooms do exactly that. They're umami bombs, rich, savory, and satisfying. Plus, they're loaded with antioxidants, B vitamins, and minerals like selenium, which supports immune function. That matters when stress is high and fresh food is scarce. Most people walk past canned mushrooms without a second thought, which is exactly why you should scoop them up now. They're cheap, underrated, and almost always in stock. Slice them into pasta dishes. Toss them into soups. Mix them with eggs or rice. I even add them to instant ramen for a boost of texture and depth. And if you're worried about texture, don't be. Canned mushrooms might not be Instagram worthy, but they're absolutely serviceable. And when sautéed in a little oil, they get that meaty bite back. Here's a fun prepper tip. Dehydrate your own mushrooms when fresh ones go on sale. Slice and dry them, then store in jars, or mylar with oxygen absorbers. Rehydrate with warm water and boom, flavor and nutrients without the bulk or spoilage risk. But for simplicity and shelf life, you really can't beat canned. Together, rice and mushrooms form the base for dozens of meals. Stir-fry, risotto, grain bowls, soups, even casseroles. They're versatile, affordable, and store like champs. And when the stores go bare, they'll be the first things you wish you had more of. If you've ever been hungry, truly hungry, you already know what kind of foods hit differently. That brings us to number 5, peanut butter. This isn't just for kids' lunches. This is a survival superfood. One jar can carry you through days of uncertainty. It's high in protein, packed with healthy fats, and calorie-dense enough to fuel both your brain and your body when stress levels are through the roof. And unlike fresh food, it doesn't need refrigeration after opening. What makes it even better? It's comfort food. When things feel chaotic, one spoonful of peanut butter tastes like normal life. You can spread it on crackers, stir it into oatmeal, or eat it straight from the jar. No shame, no cleanup. But here's the thing most folks miss. Not all peanut butter is created equal. Skip the ones loaded with sugar, hydrogenated oils, or weird fillers. Natural peanut butter, the kind with 2 or 3 ingredients max, not only tastes better, it also stores better and settles less when unopened. A standard 16-ounce jar contains over 2,500 calories. That's a solid backup plan when meals get scarce, and it lasts typically 6 to 12 months past its best-by date if kept sealed in a cool, dark place. For long-term prepping, store unopened jars in bins with desiccant packs. If you're prepping for more than a few months, rotate often, and don't buy the whipped or low-fat versions. They spoil faster and give you less fuel when it matters most. Now onto number 4, oats. Oats aren't just for breakfast. They're a base for everything from protein-packed pancakes to baked snacks, meat extenders, and even oat flour. You can bake them, soak them, cook them on a stovetop, or just mix them with water and eat them cold if you have to. When you're low on supplies or power, that kind of flexibility is pure gold. Let's look at shelf life. Rolled oats last up to 2 years in the original packaging and 5 to 10 years when stored properly in mylar with oxygen absorbers. Steel-cut oats are a little hardier and can store even longer if kept dry. Instant oats? Sure, they're more convenient, but they're also often loaded with sugar and preservatives. Choose what fits your lifestyle, but don't overlook plain rolled oats. They're the best all-around choice for value, nutrition, and shelf stability. Want to stretch your stockpile further? Learn to make oat flour. All it takes is a blender or food processor. 1 cup of oats becomes 1 cup of flour. Perfect for baking bread, thickening soups, or making survival pancakes. You can also mix oats with powdered milk, protein powder, or peanut butter for no-bake energy bites. That's a high-calorie snack with no stove required. A pro tip? Store your oats in quart jars or food-grade buckets with bay leaves to keep pantry pests out. Add a few desiccant packs and label the top with the date. And yes, oats can go bad, but only if they're exposed to moisture or bugs. Sealed tight and stored well, they'll outlast most pantry foods. Together, peanut butter and oats form the core of a smart stockpile. Dense, flexible, and familiar. They're the kind of foods that let you improvise. Whether you're stuck without power or just stretching meals during hard times, these 2 staples can feed your body and calm your mind. You can have a pantry full of rice and canned goods, but without oil, salt, and sugar, your meals are going to feel like survival rations, not food. These 3 staples are small but mighty. They make everything else in your kitchen usable, flavorful, and, frankly, tolerable when times get tough. Let's start with number 3, cooking oil. Most folks don't think about oil until they reach for it, and it's gone. But during emergencies, it's essential, not just for frying or sautéing, but for adding calories and nutrition. A tablespoon of oil packs over 100 calories, which is crucial when you're stretching meals. Coconut oil is your best bet for long-term prepping. It can last up to 5 years if stored properly. And because it solidifies at room temperature, it's less likely to spill or spoil. It also doubles as a salve for dry skin or minor scrapes. Avocado oil is another favorite. It has the highest smoke point, making it incredibly versatile, and it's packed with omega-3s. Just avoid olive oil for long-term storage. It goes rancid too quickly unless refrigerated, and even then, its shelf life is limited. So how much should you store? About a gallon per person for every 3 months of cooking. But here's a smart trick. Buy oil in smaller bottles. That way, once you open one, you're not risking your entire supply going stale. Label each bottle with the purchase date and store in a cool, dark cabinet. Heat and light. Break it down fast. Number 2 on the list is salt. It's not just a flavor booster, it's a preservative, an electrolyte source, and even a minor medical aid. Salt is critical for food preservation, especially if your fridge or freezer fails. You can cure meat, pickle vegetables, and make brines that keep food safe for days or even weeks. It also lasts forever. No expiration, no special storage requirements beyond keeping it dry. Stock up on a few types: table salt for daily use, kosher salt for cooking, and canning or pickling salt for preservation. Himalayan or sea salt is fine too, but don't overpay for the hype. Store salt in sealed containers or jars. Moisture is the only real enemy here. Bonus tip: throw in a few salt packets in your bug-out bag or glove box. It's the kind of item people forget until they need it. Finally, number 1, sugar. Whether it's for baking, fermenting, or just giving your kids something sweet during a rough week, sugar does more than you think. It helps preserve fruit, fuels homemade electrolyte drinks, and gives you fast energy when you need it most. Plus, it's a powerful psychological boost when everything else feels bleak. White granulated sugar stores best. Airtight containers will keep it good for decades. Brown sugar is trickier since it clumps easily, so store it in tightly sealed bags or jars. Honey is another great option. It never spoils and has natural antibacterial properties. Keep some in your stockpile for cooking, first aid, or even trade. Bottom line: oil, salt, and sugar are the glue that holds your emergency meals together. They're small, cheap, and often forgotten until they're not there. With just a few extra items each trip to the store, you can build a buffer that turns bland survival food into actual meals. And when shelves run empty, you'll be glad you didn't overlook the basics. So now you know what to get. But here's where most people mess up: how they stockpile. It's not just about tossing cans into a basement corner or cramming boxes into a pantry. Building a solid stockpile takes planning, rotation, and strategy. Do it right, and your emergency stash turns into a built-in safety net. Do it wrong, and you end up with expired goods, wasted space, and food you'll never actually eat. Start with a simple rule: store what you eat and eat what you store. This one mindset shift keeps your stockpile from becoming clutter. Make a list of your household's most used ingredients and staples. Things like pasta, oats, canned tuna, peanut butter, and rice. Then slowly begin doubling up. Instead of buying 1 can of beans, buy 2. Instead of 1 bag of rice, grab an extra and set it aside. It doesn't feel like hoarding, and your grocery bill barely notices, but over time, you'll build weeks of backup without panic buying. Next, focus on rotation. This part's non-negotiable. If you don't rotate, your food will expire before you need it. Use a marker to label everything with the purchase month. When you buy new items, move the older ones to the front and use them first. Build that system now so it becomes second nature. Also, don't ignore sales, coupons, and clearance sections. It's not about being cheap. It's about stretching your budget as far as possible. Use coupon apps or store loyalty programs to track deals. If peanut butter is buy one, get one, grab both and stash one away. If canned fruit is half price, that's your moment. This is how you prep smart, not scared. And here's a mindset tip: Treat your stockpile like an investment, not a panic bunker. When you view it as part of your household economy, something you rotate, use, and replenish, you'll never feel like you're wasting money. Plus, you get the peace of mind that if something goes wrong, a power outage, snowstorm, illness, or job loss, you already have a buffer in place. Want to go next level? Keep a small inventory list, nothing fancy. Just a sheet of paper or a notes app where you jot down quantities of your top items. How many cans of tuna? How many jars of sauce? How many pounds of rice? That way, you don't overbuy what you already have or miss out on something essential. Stockpiling isn't about paranoia. It's about preparation, and that's something every household should embrace. Build your stash one smart purchase at a time, and you'll never regret being ready when others are caught off guard. Having the right food is half the battle. The other half, knowing where to put it all. Poor storage can destroy a good stockpile faster than any supply chain failure. Moisture, heat, pests, they're the real enemies. That's why it's not just what you store, but where and how you store it that matters. Let's start with the golden rule. Cool, dark, dry. If your storage spot doesn't hit all three, you're risking shelf life. That means your kitchen, especially the cabinets near your oven or dishwasher, is the worst place for long-term storage. Those temperature swings can break down oils, spoil canned goods faster, and attract bugs. Instead, look to underused spaces like closets, basements, spare bedrooms, or even the area under your bed. Basements are great if they stay dry and aren't prone to flooding. Use raised shelves or pallets to keep everything off the ground. If water ever gets in, even an inch, it'll ruin cardboard boxes and rust can bottoms before you realize it. Garages are another common choice, but only if they're insulated. Extreme summer heat can cook food in the can, while freezing temps can cause glass jars to burst or lids to fail. If your garage swings between freezing and boiling, it's not safe for storage without temperature control. No basement? No problem. Try stacking food-grade storage bins in closets or placing sealed boxes behind furniture. Even lining the bottom of a coat closet with canned goods can add a few weeks' worth of supplies. Space is never the issue. It's how you use it. Also, spread it out. Don't store your entire supply in one place. If your basement floods or a rodent gets into a box, you don't want your whole stockpile wiped out in one hit. Break it up into zones, some in the kitchen for daily use, some in storage closets, and some in deep storage like a basement or garage. Think of it like layers: your front line, your backup, and your emergency reserve. Label everything clearly. If you're using opaque bins or Mylar bags, slap on a piece of masking tape and write the contents and date. Trust me, you don't want to be digging through 20 identical buckets looking for oatmeal when the power's out. And don't forget to rotate. Every few months, spend a Saturday doing a mini audit. Move older items to the front, restock what's low, and check for damaged packaging. Storage doesn't have to be fancy, but it does need to be intentional. Use the space you already have, keep it organized, and your food will last longer and work better when you actually need it. Even the best stockpile can go bad if you don't know how to preserve your food the right way. It's not just about stacking cans and hoping for the best. Real preparedness means extending shelf life, protecting quality, and keeping pests, moisture, and oxygen out for as long as possible. That's where smart preservation methods come in, and most of them are easier than you think. Let's start with the basics. Freezing. It's the simplest method, and if you've got the space, it's perfect for things like butter, flour, shredded cheese, and even bread. Just make sure you vacuum seal or double bag anything prone to freezer burn. Keep in mind, though, freezing only works while the power's on, so don't make it your only method. Next up, vacuum sealing. A good vacuum sealer is worth every penny. It extends the life of dried foods, pastas, meats, and even baking ingredients like sugar or flour. Oxygen is what makes food spoil faster, Get rid of it, and your food lasts way longer. Pair vacuum sealing with oxygen absorbers in jars or Mylar bags, and now you're prepping like a pro. I vacuum seal oats into portion-sized bags and keep them in tubs, ready to go and protected from bugs. Now let's talk about Mylar bags. If you haven't used them before, think of them as the modern prepper's best friend. They're light-proof, airtight, and when combined with oxygen absorbers, they'll preserve dry goods for decades. Rice, beans, pasta, flour, even powdered milk. They all store beautifully in Mylar. Just seal the bags with a hair straightener or flat iron, then drop them in food-grade buckets for added protection. This combo is ideal for people who want to build a long-term backup without using a ton of space. Dehydrating is another underrated method. A basic dehydrator lets you dry fruits, vegetables, and even cooked meats for compact, lightweight storage. Apple chips, dried banana slices, dehydrated carrots. These aren't just healthy snacks. They're shelf-stable ingredients you can add to stews, rice, or even bread mixes. Store them in jars with oxygen absorbers, and they'll stay fresh for months, sometimes years. And unlike canning, dehydration doesn't require power to maintain once it's done. Canning, of course, is the classic. Whether water bath or pressure canning, this method gives you full meals in jars that last up to 5 years or more. It takes a bit more equipment and learning, but once you get the hang of it, the payoff is huge. Homemade soups, sauces, vegetables, even meats can all be safely canned and stored. Just remember to rotate and inspect seals regularly. And here's a prepper trick that too many people miss. Mix your preservation methods. Don't rely on one approach. Freeze some butter, vacuum seal your pasta, dehydrate fruit, and use Mylar for grains. That way, if one system fails, like a freezer outage, you've still got options. Redundancy isn't wasteful. It's smart. Spoilage and pests are the biggest threats to any food supply. But if you use even 2 or 3 of these methods, you'll extend the life and quality of your stockpile dramatically. And in a real emergency, that could be the difference between just getting by and truly thriving. If you've made it this far, then you already understand. This isn't about fear. It's about being ready when others aren't. Emergencies don't wait for the perfect time. Whether it's a storm, a power grid failure, or just a run on the stores before a big announcement, the people who sleep best at night are the ones who prepared a little every day. Start stockpiling now. Not with panic, but with purpose. Pick up a few extra cans, add a bag of rice. Buy that jar of peanut butter and toss it into your backup bin. Little steps become big security. And if you're already prepping, share this video. Pass the knowledge on. Because the more prepared your friends and neighbors are, the stronger your whole community becomes. Preparedness isn't panic. It's peace of mind. A quiet confidence that no matter what comes next, you've got what you need to take care of your own. Keep watching this channel for more tips, smarter strategies, and everything you need to stay ahead. You've already taken the first step. Now keep going.